Katie Morgan was 18 years old when she stepped off the transport ship onto the ground of Vayner Prime. She was the first human to ever attend the Galactic Military Academy. Earth had just joined the Confederated Species Council, and sending a human cadet was supposed to show that humans could work with other species. Katie knew the truth. She was a test. If she failed, humans would be seen as weak forever. The academy was bigger than anything she had ever seen. Towers made of living metal reached up into the purple sky. Platforms floated in the air without any support. Water tubes ran along the walls for species that needed to stay wet. Everything was designed for beings that were stronger, faster, and smarter than humans. Katie walked through the main hall and felt very small. Aliens of every kind moved around her. The Kethrani were the most common. They had silver skin and 4 arms and stood almost 7 feet tall. Their eyes were pale white, and they had 4 of them. The Vreks looked like giant insects with hard shells and clicking mouths. The Dophori were fish-like creatures that moved through water tubes or wore special suits filled with liquid. None of them looked at Katie with respect. Some pointed at her and made sounds that might have been laughter. Others simply ignored her, like she was not worth noticing. Her room was in the lowest part of the academy, far from the nice areas where important cadets lived. When she opened the door, she found 3 Kethrani cadets already inside. They were sitting on their beds and talking, but they stopped when they saw her. The tallest one stood up. Her name was Varric Shen, and she looked at Katie like someone might look at a bug. "So this is the human?" Varric said. Her voice came through a translator device and sounded flat and cold. "I thought you would be bigger. You look like a baby that never finished growing." The other Kethrani laughed. It sounded like hissing. Katie put down her bag. "I am Cadet Katie Morgan. I am happy to meet you." Varric crossed 2 of her 4 arms. "Happy to meet us? Little mammal, you will not last 1 week here. This academy has broken species much stronger than yours. Go home before you make yourself look foolish." Katie did not answer. She just unpacked her things and got ready for the next day. The first week was terrible. The physical training was made for aliens with 4 arms or wings or natural armor. Katie finished last in every test. In combat practice, other cadets beat her in seconds. In class, the teacher spoke so fast that Katie could not keep up. Her brain was slower than the other species. That was just biology. The other cadets made her life hard in other ways too. They tripped her in hallways. They broke her equipment. Someone scratched a word into her door that meant pray in the Kethrani language. Every day, someone found a new way to remind her that she did not belong. But Katie did not leave. Every night, after the other cadets went to sleep, Katie stayed awake. She studied. She watched recordings of the combat practice and looked for patterns. She recorded the lectures and played them back slowly so she could understand. She walked through the academy and memorized every hallway, every room, every hidden corner. The other cadets saw a weak human who could not keep up. They did not see what Katie was really doing. She was learning, not just the lessons, but everything else too. She learned how each species thought. She learned their weaknesses. She learned what they were afraid of. By the end of the first month, Katie was still ranked last in her class. But she had noticed something important. She was getting better faster than anyone expected. And she knew things about the academy that other cadets did not know. One day, a Vrex cadet named Chirik pushed her in the hallway and made her drop her books. "Pick them up, pray," Chirik said. His mandibles clicked with amusement. "That is all your species is good for. Picking up things for your betters." Katie picked up her books without saying anything. But she remembered Chirik's face. She remembered everything. The next week, there was a test in navigation class. Students had to find their way through a maze in the training area. The maze changed every time, so no one could memorize it. Most cadets use their natural abilities to get through. The Kethrani used their forearms to climb. The Vrex used their ability to sense vibrations. The Dofori used echolocation. Katie had none of these abilities. But she had something else. For the past month, she had been studying how the maze generators worked. She had found the patterns in how the walls moved. She had figured out the basic rules that controlled the maze design. It was not perfect knowledge, but it was enough. When the test began, Katie moved through the maze with confidence. She did not hesitate at intersections. She did not waste time on dead ends. She finished in the top 10. The other cadets were shocked. Varix looked at her with narrowed eyes. "How did you do that? You do not have the senses for maze navigation." Katie shrugged. "I use my brain." That night, Varix came to Katie's bed while the other Kethrani were sleeping. She stood over Katie with her forearms crossed. "I do not understand you," Varix said quietly. "You are weak. You are slow. You should have failed by now. Why are you still here?" Katie sat up and looked at the tall alien. "Because I do not quit. Humans are not the strongest species. We are not the fastest or the smartest. But we do not give up. We keep going when others stop. That is what we are good at." Varix stared at her for a long moment. "That is a strange thing to be good at." "Maybe," Katie said. "But it has kept my species alive for a very long time." Varix said nothing else. She went back to her bed and lay down. But Katie noticed that from that day on, Varix did not laugh at her anymore. She still did not help Katie, but she stopped making things harder that it was a small change. But Katie knew that small changes can add up to big ones. She just had to keep going. One day at a time. One step at a time. That was the human way. The mockery continued from others. The challenges continued. But Katie Morgan did not break. She bent, she adapted, she learned. And somewhere deep inside, she started to believe that maybe, just maybe, she could prove them all wrong. She just needed time. And patience. And the will to never, ever give up. The final year at the academy was supposed to be about finishing studies and preparing for graduation. But reality had other plans. A distress call came from a mining colony on a planet called Theris IV. It was at the edge of Confederate space, far from any major fleet. An unknown enemy had attacked without warning. The colony defenses had fallen in hours. 3,000 people were trapped and dying. The Confederate fleet was too far away to help in time. The only ships close enough were at the academy. High Marshal Severin was the head of the academy. He was an ancient Kethrani who had seen more wars than most species could imagine. He made a decision that had never been made before. He would take academy ships to rescue the colony. Senior cadets would serve as officers. It would be their final test. A real battle with real death. Katie was assigned to a cruiser called the Vigilant. She would be the tactical officer under Captain Yenmer Tal, an experienced Delphori veteran. The rescue fleet had 12 ships total. Most were training vessels with weak weapons. They were going against an enemy of unknown strength. The journey to Theris IV took 3 days. During that time, they learned more about the enemy. They were called the Scourge. They were a hive mind, which meant they all shared one brain. They ate organic matter to grow and spread. Their ships were not built from metal. They were grown from living tissue. They adapted quickly to new threats. 2 Confederate scout ships had already been destroyed trying to learn more. When the fleet arrived at Theris IV, Katie saw something from a nightmare. Over 40 enemy ships surrounded the planet. They were huge and ugly, covered in pulsing flesh and organic weapons. The colony shields were failing. Enemy forces were already landing on the surface. The trapped civilians had maybe 12 hours before they were all dead. High Marshal Severin called his officers together. The situation looked hopeless. They were outnumbered more than 3-1 against an enemy they did not understand. "We must break through their blockade," Severin said. "We concentrate all our firepower on one point, punch through, grab as many civilians as we can, and retreat." Captain Yenratal nodded. "It is our only option. We will lose ships, but some of us might survive." Katie raised her hand. "Permission to speak, High Marshal." The ancient Kethrani looked at her. The human cadet. "Speak. With respect, a direct attack will fail. The Scourge are adaptive. When we concentrate our forces, they will respond the same way. We will be destroyed before we reach the planet. Then what do you suggest?" Severin asked. Katie pulled up a tactical display. "The Scourge are hive mind. They share information instantly, but that also means they have a central weakness. I've been studying their movement patterns since we arrived. There is a rhythm to how they coordinate. A small delay between when one group acts and when others respond. I think their central controller is here." She pointed to one of the larger enemy ships near the back of their formation. "If we destroy that ship, the others might become confused long enough for us to save the colony." Severin studied the display. "Your analysis is based on less than 1 hour of watching them." "Yes, sir. But it is based on principles that have worked throughout human history. Find the enemy's command center and destroy it. The details change, but the idea stays the same." The officers debated for 20 minutes. Finally, Severin made his decision. "We will try the humans' plan. Cadet Morgan, you will coordinate our attack. Do not make me regret this." Katie took a deep breath. "Yes, High Marshal." The battle for Theris IV lasted 4 hours. Katie commanded the fleet like a musician conducting a song. She sent small attacks to test the enemy and confirm her theory about how they coordinated. She found the command ship's exact location. Then she made her plan. The key was deception. She ordered 3 ships to pretend to attack in one direction. The Scourge moved forces to stop them. Meanwhile, the other ships, including the Vigilant, flew through an asteroid field that the enemy had ignored. The asteroid field was dangerous. 2 ships were damaged hitting rocks, but they came out behind the Scourge formation, close to the command ship. "All ships, fire everything at the target," Katie ordered. The command ship was enormous, a pulsing mass of living matter as big as a small moon. Their weapons seemed too weak against something so huge. But Katie had studied the enemy carefully. She knew where to hit. "Target coordinates 773, she said. "That is their brain." 9 ships fired at one point. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the command ship shook. Its surface rippled like it was in pain. And across the blockade, every other enemy ship went still. "They are confused," Katie said. "All ships, start the rescue. We have maybe 20 minutes before they recover." The evacuation was chaos, but it worked. Shuttles flew down to the surface again and again. Civilians ran onto the ships while the Scourge drifted without direction. By the time the enemy started moving again, over 2,800 people had been saved. The fleet retreated with the Scourge chasing them. But Katie had planned for this too. She had left hidden mines in the asteroid field during their earlier trip. The chasing enemy ships flew right into them. The explosions gave the fleet enough time to escape. Of the 12 ships that left the Academy, 9 came back. 63 crew members had died. But 2,800 civilians had been saved because of a plan made by a human cadet. High Marshal Severin called Katie to his office after they returned. "You performed very well, Cadet Morgan," he said. "Your instincts saved thousands of lives. Thank you, High Marshal. I have recommended you for a special honor. When you graduate, you will be offered the rank of full commander, not a junior officer as is normal for new graduates. This has never happened before." Katie was quiet for a moment. "I am grateful, sir. Lenin, but I need to return to Earth after graduation. Severin looked surprised. Return to Earth? Your career here could be amazing. The Scourge are still out there, Katie said. They will come back. The Confederate fleet is not ready for them. But maybe with what I have learned here, I can help Earth prepare. My people need to be ready for what is coming. Severin studied her for a long time. You think of your species first. Always. Then go, the High Marshal said. Go and make humanity ready. Because you are right. The Scourge will return. And when they do, we will need every ally we can find. Even the small ones. Katie smiled. Especially the small ones, sir. We are harder to hit. The second year at the academy brought the Crucible. Every cadet feared it. The Crucible was a survival test on a dangerous moon called Carvix 7. Cadets were dropped there with almost nothing and had to survive for 10 days. Many cadets had died over the years. Many more had quit and gone home, and shame. Katie was put in a squad with Varix, 2 Vrex cadets named Chirik and Torvin, and a Delphori called Mira Vel. Mira needed a special suit filled with water to stay alive on land. The squad was not happy about having Katie with them. They made this very clear. On the transport ship to Carvix 7, Varix gathered the squad together. I am the leader, she said. We will complete the objectives and survive. The human will do the dangerous jobs. If something is going to kill one of us, it should be the one we can lose. Katie did not argue. She just nodded and prepared her equipment. Carvix 7 was a horrible place. During the day, the temperature was burning hot. At night, it dropped below freezing. The moon was filled with predators that hunted anything that moved. There was very little food and even less water. The squad set up camp in a rocky area that gave them some protection. Varix sent Katie out to scout the area around them. It was the most dangerous job because scouts often ran into predators. First, Katie went out alone into the wilderness. She moved carefully and quietly. She marked predator trails on her datapad. She found plants that might be safe to eat. She mapped the terrain and looked for anything useful. When she came back to camp, she had gathered a lot of information. Varix did not even look at her report. Fine. Get some rest. You scout again tomorrow. This continued for 3 days. Katie went out alone while the others rested. She gathered information while they saved their strength. None of them thanked her or showed any interest in what she found. On the 3rd day, everything went wrong. The squad was crossing a river when the predators attacked. Carvix stalkers were 6-legged hunters with the ability to see heat. 6 of them came out of nowhere. In the chaos, Chirik was badly hurt. His leg was torn open and he could not walk. Miravel's water suit was damaged. She was slowly dying as the water leaked out. Varix managed to drive off the predators with her weapons, but the squad was now in serious trouble. They had an injured member who could not move and another member who was running out of time. We need to get to the extraction point, Varix said. We have to leave the wounded behind. Katie stepped forward. We cannot do that. The rules say that a squad only passes if everyone reaches the end. If we leave them, we fail. Then we fail, Varix snapped. It is better to fail than to die trying to carry dead weight. There is another way. Katie pulled out her datapad. She showed them a map she had made during her scouting trips. I found a cave system that goes underground. It connects to a spot very close to the extraction point. The stalkers cannot track us underground because the rock blocks their heat vision. I can lead us through. Varix looked at the map. Her 4 eyes went wide. You made this map? When did you have time? While I was scouting. While you were resting. I mapped everything I could find. Why? Varix asked. Why would you help us? We have treated you badly since the first day. Katie looked at her squadmates. Chirik was bleeding on the ground. Miravel was breathing hard as her water level dropped. Torvin looked scared. Even Varix, for all her pride, seemed lost. "Because we are a squad," Katie said. "And because I am not here to show that humans can be as cruel as everyone else. I am here to show that we can be better." The journey through the caves took 3 days. It was dark and cold, and the path was dangerous. Katie led the way, using a simple chemical torch for light. Human eyes worked well in low light, better than the Kethrani or Vrex eyes. Chirrut could not walk, so they took turns carrying him. When the others got tired, Katie carried him alone. She was smaller than the others, but she did not complain. She just kept moving forward, one step at a time. Miravel was running out of water. Katie gave her half of her own water ration. The Delphi looked at her with surprise. "You need this water to survive," Myra said. "So do you," Katie replied. "We all survive or none of us do." They walked through the darkness. They climbed over rocks and squeezed through tight spaces. They did not stop to rest because they did not have time. Every hour that passed was an hour closer to Myra's death. On the 3rd day, they saw light ahead. The cave opened up near the extraction point. They had made it. When they came out into the sunlight, the academy instructors were waiting. They were shocked. A squad with a wounded member and someone in a damaged water suit should not have survived. They should not have even come close to succeeding. The instructors looked at the mission records. They saw that every good decision had come from Katie Morgan. The human cadet had saved the entire squad. That night, Katie was resting in her tent when Varix came to see her. The tall Kethrani stood at the entrance for a long moment before speaking. "I was wrong about you," Varix said. "You are not prey. I do not know what you are, but you are not prey." Katie smiled. "My people have a saying. The race does not always go to the fast runner. Sometimes it goes to the one who keeps running after everyone else has stopped." Varix thought about this. That is a strange way to think, but perhaps it is not foolish. From that day on, Varix never mocked Katie again. They were not exactly friends, but there was respect between them. The other squad members also changed. Chirrut, who had once pushed Katie in the hallway, now nodded to her when they passed. Miravel started sitting with Katie at meals, but not everyone at the academy had learned this lesson. There were still cadets who laughed at the human. There were still instructors who expected her to fail. The mockery was quieter now, but it had not stopped. Katie did not mind. She had proven something important during the Crucible. She had shown that humans could survive when survival seemed impossible. She had shown that being kind was not the same as being weak, and she was just getting started. The 3rd year at the academy was about war. Cadets learned how to command fleets and lead armies. They fought battles in computer simulations against each other. The simulations were based on real wars from history. They tested how well a cadet could think under pressure. This was supposed to be where the other species had a huge advantage. The Kethrani had been fighting wars for 10,000 years. The Delphori had conquered 100 star systems. The Vrex had military tactics that humans could not even understand. What did humans know about war? They had barely learned to travel between stars. Katie's first battle was against a Vrex admiral named Kethrix. He was one of the best cadets in the academy. His family had been military leaders for generations. He commanded a fleet that was twice the size of Katie's fleet. The battle rules favored defense, which was his specialty. Katie lost badly. Her entire fleet was destroyed in 2 hours. Kethrix made fun of her afterward in front of everyone. "Human tactics are so primitive," he said, his mandibles clicking with amusement. It was like fighting a child. I did not even have to try. But Katie had not been trying to win that battle. She had been testing Kethrix. She had been learning how he thought, how he reacted, what mistakes he made. She took notes on everything. Her second battle was against a Delphori commander named Admiral Selen. This time, Katie used a different approach. She had studied Earth's ancient history and found a battle from thousands of years ago. A general named Hannibal had defeated a much larger army by pretending to be weak in the middle and then surrounding the enemy. Katie did the same thing. She made her center weak on purpose. Selen attacked the center, thinking he was winning. Then Katie's side forces closed in like a trap. Selen's entire fleet was destroyed. The Academy was shocked. A human had beaten a Delphori admiral. The Delphori were famous for being the best at three-dimensional space combat. How had this happened? Instructors started looking at Katie's battle records. What they found surprised them. Katie was not using any normal military strategy. She was using tactics from Earth's history. Wars that humans had fought against other humans for thousands of years. The hammer and anvil of Alexander the Great. The guerrilla tactics of fighters in jungles and mountains. The naval tricks of admirals on Earth's oceans. The defensive strategies of armies facing impossible odds. Humans, it turned out, had spent most of their existence fighting each other. They had gotten very good at it. Better than peaceful alien species who had never needed to learn such things. By the end of the semester, Katie was ranked 3rd in tactical command. She had only lost to Cathrix and to a Kathrani general named Vorak. Vorak had never lost a battle at the Academy. He'd been champion for 3 years. The final tournament put Katie against Vorak in the second-to-last round. The battle lasted 6 hours. It was the longest battle in Academy history. Vorak was brilliant. He commanded with power and precision that Katie had never seen before. But Katie was flexible. She changed her plans constantly. She sacrificed ships to create openings. She used fake civilian ships as tricks. She hacked into Vorak's communications and sent him false information. In the end, Katie lost. Vorak was too experienced and had too many ships. But she had pushed him harder than any opponent ever had. She had done it with half his resources. After the battle, Vorak came to find her in the simulation room. He was the biggest Kathrani she had ever seen. Almost 8 feet tall. His silver skin was covered with scars from his many victories. "You should have won," Vorak said. "If we had fought with equal forces, you would have destroyed me." Katie shook her head. "I made mistakes. I will learn from them." Vorak's 4 eyes studied her carefully. Something like respect showed on his alien face. "When I first heard a human was admitted to the Academy, I thought it was a joke. A political gesture. But you are no joke, Katie Morgan. You are a warning. A warning? To the galaxy." Vorak's voice was serious. "Your species is young and weak. But you have spent your whole history fighting each other. You have learned things about war that we have forgotten or never knew. When humanity becomes strong enough to use that knowledge against others." He paused. "I hope the galaxy is ready." Katie thought about his words for a long time. The other cadets started treating her differently after that battle. Not with friendship exactly, but with caution. They had seen what she could do. They had seen how a primitive human with half the resources had nearly beaten their greatest warrior. Some of them were scared. What would happen when there were more humans like Katie? What would happen when humanity built real fleets and trained real armies? Katie noticed their fear, but she did not enjoy it. She had not come to the Academy to make aliens afraid of humans. She had come to learn, to prove herself, to help her species take its place among the stars. But she also understood something important now. The galaxy had looked at humans and seen weak, slow, primitive creatures. They had mocked Earth as a backward planet full of animals who barely knew how to use tools. They had not understood what humans really were. Humans were survivors. Humans were fighters. Humans had clawed their way up from caves and darkness through millions of years of struggle. They had fought ice ages and predators and diseases and each other. They had refused to die when everything said they should. And now they were among the stars. Small and weak compared to the great powers of the galaxy, but growing stronger every day. Katie smiled to herself as she left the simulation room. The mockery was almost over. Soon, the galaxy would see what humanity could really do. She just had to keep proving it, one battle at a time. Katie Morgan came back to Earth as a hero. News of the Battle of Theros 4 had spread across the galaxy. Everyone knew the story of the human cadet who had saved thousands of lives. Earth's membership in the Confederacy was upgraded from temporary to permanent. The planet's leaders offered Katie a high position in the new Earth Defense Command. She accepted, but not the job they expected. Instead of commanding ships, Katie asked permission to build a training academy on Earth. She wanted to teach the next generation of human officers everything she had learned. She wanted to show them what humans could do when they believed in themselves. The academy was built in the mountains of Colorado. Katie named it the Prometheus Institute. In old Earth stories, Prometheus was the one who brought fire to humanity. Katie wanted to bring a different kind of fire. The fire of knowledge and strength. Her first class had only 50 students. They came from every country on Earth. They were young and eager and had no idea what waited for them. Katie looked at them and remembered herself, 5 years ago, stepping off a ship onto alien ground. "You are here because humanity is at war," she told them on the first day. "We do not know when the next attack will come. We do not know how strong the enemy will be. What we do know is that we cannot depend on our allies to save us. The Confederacy is big, but it is slow. When the Scourge return, Earth will have to defend itself." A young cadet raised his hand. His name was Danny Palmer. "Ma'am, the Scourge outnumber us. They adapt faster than we can. How can we possibly win?" Katie smiled. "Because we have been doing this longer than they have. Humanity has been fighting for survival since we first climbed down from the trees. We have faced extinction many times. Every time, we found a way to keep going. The Scourge think they are predators. They have no idea what a real predator looks like." She turned on a display that showed Earth's military history. Ancient warriors in bronze armor, Roman soldiers marching in formation, cavalry charging across open fields, trenches filled with mud and blood, tanks rolling across deserts, missiles flying through the sky. "This is what we have been practicing for 10,000 years, Katie said. "War, strategy, survival against impossible odds. The galaxy looks at us and sees a primitive species. That is fine. Let them think we are weak. We will show them what humans can do when our backs are against the wall." Over the next 3 years, Katie built the Prometheus Institute into the best military academy on Earth. Her graduates went on to command ships and lead soldiers. They developed new weapons and tactics. They carried her philosophy with them wherever they went. Adapt, endure, overcome. When the Scourge returned, 7 years after Theros 4, they found a very different Earth waiting for them. The battle for the Sol System lasted 3 months. The Scourge came in huge numbers. Wave after wave of living ships poured out of deep space. But Earth's defenses held. Human commanders used every trick they knew and invented new ones. They set traps in the asteroid belt. They launched surprise attacks from hidden bases on the moons of Jupiter. They made a final stand at Mars that broke the enemy advance. At the center of it all was Admiral Katie Morgan. She commanded the Earth Defense Fleet from her flagship, the Ed's Endurance. The turning point came when Katie led a small force deep into Scourge territory. Her target was their breeding worlds, where they grew new ships and soldiers. The Confederate Council had said the mission was impossible. Katie's fleet was outnumbered 50 to 1. She succeeded anyway. When she returned to Earth, she found representatives from every major species in the Confederacy waiting for her. They had come to pay their respects and to apologize. High Marshal Severin was there. He was very old now, but still alive. He spoke for all of them. "We were wrong about your species," he said. "We thought you were children playing at civilization. We did not understand that you had been made strong through struggle. Humanity has earned its place among the stars. More than earned it." Katie accepted his words with grace. But later, when she was alone with her old friend Varek Shen, she spoke her true feelings. "They mocked us because we were weak," Katie said. "They respect us now because we are strong." But neither reaction was really about us. It was about them and their fears. Varix, now a general in the Kathrani military, nodded slowly. "Then why did you fight so hard for their respect?" Katie looked out a window at the stars. The galaxy that had once seemed so hostile now felt more like home. Because the best revenge is not making your enemies fear you. It is making them realize they were wrong. Not through words, but through action. You cannot argue someone out of their prejudice. You can only show them a truth so strong that their prejudice breaks against it. And has it broken? Katie smiled. "Not completely. Not yet, but give us time. Humanity is patient. We have been climbing upward for 100,000 years, one step at a time. We are not going to stop now." She turned away from the window and went back to work. There were new cadets to train, new battles to prepare for, new challenges to overcome. The galaxy was vast and dangerous, and humanity's journey among the stars was just beginning. But Katie Morgan had already proven what she had set out to prove. All those years ago, when she had stepped off a transport ship as a scared young cadet, humans were not prey. They were not primitives. They were not a joke. They were survivors. They were fighters. They were everything the galaxy had never expected them to be, and they were just getting started. The mockery was over. The tables had been turned, and the galaxy would never look at humanity the same way again. The end.